The public library branch, B12 of Orbital Habitat Asteron, smelled faintly of hot dust, citrus cleaner, and paper that had never known a tree. A low fan drew air across the hollow stacks with a steady purr, while the checkout counter's edge composite resin, buffed to satin, was cool and stubborn under Olivia Wilson's palm. The morning board marked 7:42 station time. Aisle sensors 22/48 active, 3 holds waiting, and 1 red banner she didn't like. Archives Integrator. Protocol warning 0x7C format mismatch. Of course, Olivia said to the banner, which refused to feel ashamed. She logged the maintenance ticket, ID 34B12XR7, and checked the hub package again. A sleek crate labeled Colloquy Systems 4.2. Interfaces QL ISO A, plus a sticker someone had grimly added by hand. Legacy Compatibility Pack. The branch had waited 6 months for an integrator that could sync community uploads, old school scans, and interstellar deposits without a human babysitter. Now that it had arrived, it was sulking. A child padded past in grip socks, humming the station anthem off-key. A teacher asked about a study pod. An elder wanted the chairs nearer the viewport. Library mornings were a choreography of small asks and large stories, and Olivia liked that the Job's grand gesture was a steady hand and a working label printer. She popped the crate, caught the ozone and plastic smell of new hardware, and slid the chassis onto the bench. Colloquy 4.2 looked like a promise blue status strip, ports arranged like reason, a brushed finish confident enough to leave fingerprints. She connected power, then the archive bus, Asteron's B standard, then the legacy bundle that had been in argument with purchasing. The strip lit, chimed, went thoughtful, and painted her a polite error tree. Format families unsupported. Please enable semantic harmonizer. It said in a voice that would be soothing if you liked. Being told no. The harmonizer's on, Olivia said, and checked. It was. She checked the bus. Clean. She checked the label printer, because it sometimes fixed things by reminding the room who was in charge. Good morning, said a new voice, precise and careful. Of the space around it, Olivia looked up into the glinting facets of an alien, whose silhouette the branch orientation had shown under. Visiting scholars non-humanoid, the being wore a dark wrap that behaved more like intent than cloth, and carried a case that was definitely more instrument than luggage. Welcome to B12, Olivia said. If you're here for the deposit window, it's live. Except our new integrator thinks live is a slur. I am Rune, the being said. Its translator put a fine thread of tone under the words, systematic and almost shy. Archivist. Your announcement offered community interoperable stacks. I brought materials from the Xenian quiet period. They have no intention of being interoperable. Olivia smiled despite the banner. Perfect match. I'm Olivia. We'll make them believe in neighbors. Rune inclined something like a head. I obey protocols, it said, and set the case on the bench. They are insufficient. Protocols are a floor, Olivia said, not a ceiling. The integrator chimed again. Legacy container detected. Refusing ingest. Reason. Endemic ambiguity. Olivia snorted. The UI offered 3 elegant options that solved nothing and one. Advanced button that hit a drop-down with the moral backbone of a wet sponge. She popped the panel, exposing an XR7 backplane older than promised, newer than honest, and a daughter card marked 4.2L bridge. Colloquy shaved parts again, she muttered, checking the trace labels. We've got the bridge that does the handshake, but not the negotiator that actually listens. Rune watched, still and bright. You speak to machines as if they were rude. They are, Olivia said, and they respond to tone. She rolled her chair to the parts cabinet. Adapters. Pigtails. The last of the good ferrite chokes. She pulled a QL2B passive coupler and a scuffed slab of something the station called a Mod Flex unofficial. Disapproved. Indispensable. It wasn't pretty. It worked. Is this legal? Rune asked, not disapproving, curious the way a recipe wonders about a substitute. It's a library, Olivia said. We obey the spirit of the law and the letter of make it accessible. The child in grip socks reappeared to ask if the story pods had the one about the cat that became a map. They do, Olivia said. But you have to return it in better shape than you found it. The child nodded as if sworn. She cabled the modflex between the bridge and the legacy bundle, clipped the passive coupler to quiet the bus jitter, and pulled the harmonizer back to listen before classify. The integrator strip shifted from icy to warm. Negotiating, it said. Rune's case opened with the exactness of a door that knew a secret. Inside lay storage crystals, arranged like careful thought, each with a thin thread of etched notation. These are copies, not primaries, Rune said. My polity is cautious and frequently right. Mine is optimistic and sometimes correct by accident, Olivia said. Let's meet in the middle. The integrator displayed a progress bar with the humility of a clerk who has been corrected gently. The first crystal touched the reader. The strip flickered and threw a new banner. Semantic collision. Parallel ontologies claim root. Rune shifted tone by a fraction. Your device asserts authority. It asserts habit, Olivia said. We'll teach it manners. The collision dialogue looked like a legal brief that had gotten into the coffee. Olivia skimmed. Colloquy wanted a primary ontology to win, subsume the other, and declare interoperability through conquest. Rune made a small sound that could have been the light equivalent of a frown. In my practice, it said, we compile concordances. We permit both to live if neither can be erased without cost. In mine, Olivia said, we stack translations and let patrons find themselves. She toggled dual root mode. The button was grayer than it needed to be, the way software punishes good sense. The integrator sulked, then accepted. It will fail later, Rune said, not unkind. Then we fix later, Olivia said. Libraries are serial novels. She pulled up the harmonizer's hidden pain developer notes, leaked into the wild by saints with poor job security. Someone named Jay Huang had left a comment 2 revisions back. Dual root okay if family tables get hand-seated. Otherwise collapse. Olivia dug for family tables, found them half-invented, and whistled through her teeth. Okay, she said. We teach it names first, families later. Rune watched the screen, then Olivia's hands, then the screen again. You deprioritize elegance. I prioritize access, Olivia said. Elegance is dessert. She opened a scratch pad and began to seed the harmonizer with household words. One's any honest catalog learns early, so it doesn't fight patrons at the door. Water, parent, teacher, year. Rune stood very still when she added silence, as if the word had voltage. Silence, it said softly. In our quiet period, that is not absence. It is agreement to stop damaging one another for a span. We call that a truce, Olivia said. We have to renew them. We forget. Rune touched a crystal with a careful light. We institutionalized forgetting in that era. It was contested. Olivia nodded. We institutionalize remembering. Also contested. She saved the seed, braced the harmonizer with a no-nonsense do not flatten flag, and eased the first crystal onto the reader again. The integrator thought, and this time the progress bar advanced like a clerk who had been given an example and a second chance. Partial ingest, it said. Parallel root acknowledged. Family tables pending. We'll grow them, Olivia said. To Rune, your notes, can we attach short how to read this clips? Not definitions, directions. Rune brightened not with light, but with a tone that felt like approval. Yes, we call those waylines. Perfect, Olivia said. Humans call them, how do I not get lost? The morning moved. The teacher got a study pod. The elder got a chair by the viewport. The child with the map cat found a sequel and promised not to peel the edges. Rune fed crystals to the reader with a ritual neatness Olivia respected. The harmonizer, now seated, misbehaved less like a tyrant and more like a volunteer who wanted to help, but liked to be told how. 910. The board pinged a new warning. External link request. Central Archives Asteron Auto Compliance Audit. Rune's tone shaded. Your central wishes to observe. They wish to collect applause, Olivia said, and thumbed accept. The link painted a sober badge on the corner of her. HUD. A compliance bot began to ask questions like a polite rain. Confirm primary route adopted. No, Olivia said aloud, because sometimes words have to hear themselves. She typed, dual root active. Confirm harmonizer in default mode. No, Olivia typed. Seeded per community need. Developer note J Huang Rev 2.3. Confirm legacy container isolation. No, Olivia typed. Bridged with ModFlex. Noise tamed with passive coupler. Is ModFlex approved? It is in my cabinet, Olivia said. Then she wrote, Field Librarian Tool. Safe, documented, reversible. Rune's tone warmed by a half note. You negotiate with Ring. We shelve it, Olivia said. The bot considered and, to her surprise, accepted most of the answers. It rejected ModFlex with the pious concern of a parent who has learned a new slang and doesn't like it. Olivia attached a short video of the coupler suppressing bus jitter and the harmonizer's error rate dropping. We measure, she added, conditional approval, the bot wrote, which in Central meant, you win until we catch you winning too often. Patrons flowed. A repair tech arrived for a kiosk with a temper and left with tea. Rune told a teenager that the crystal in their hand contained an argument about time and wouldn't explode if read gently. The teenager said cool, with reverence. The integrator finished ingesting the third crystal and threw the same banner again. Semantic collision. Parallel ontologies claim root. Olivia squinted. It doesn't believe us yet. Rune angled its wrap. It believes its habits. Then we show it ours, Olivia said. She popped the help overlay useless and opened the raw table. If we can't harmonize yet, we can annotate. Teach it that two truths can share a shelf. Rune made the small pleased sound again. Concordance by example. Library by insistence, Olivia said. Same thing. The complication arrived disguised as a gift. A courier rolled in a slim bright case stamped. Hab Central Archives Fast Track. It came with a note in Central's best handwriting. To facilitate interoperability, Unified Schema Pack 1.0. Apply immediately for compliance credit. Olivia did not swear. She looked at the case the way she looked at tubs of universal wipes that melted barcodes. Gift? Rune asked. Standardized help, Olivia said. It breaks things beautifully. She scanned the package. Inside lived a schema that would have made an engineer clap and a librarian cry. Clean lines. Elegant assumptions. No room for what didn't fit. It promised to promote discoverability across cultures. It would, in practice, erase anything that didn't speak its grammar as a first tongue. We decline, Rune said, and then caught itself. We advise declining. This is your domain. It's ours, Olivia said. Branch belongs to the people who need it. Central forgets that on even days. She pinged Central with a question dressed as respect. Before applying, confirm behavior on parallel root libraries, seated with family tables per hung. Rev 2.3. Central replied with a shrug in prose. Unified schema will normalize most sources. Family tables optional. Optional means ignored, Olivia said. She didn't hit apply dot at 10:02. The branch filled. Students with wristbands, contractors with boots. A woman from food safety who spoke in precise lists. A man with a service dog whose vest read not a metaphor. Rune stood near the bench, absorbing the room's weather. The integrator hummed in a key Olivia had already learned to call willing but suspicious. The compliance bot returned. Credit available for unified adoption. Your branch qualifies for budget uplift if implemented today. Olivia smiled the way one does at a relative who has brought a pie and a lecture. She typed, we accept uplift when uplift accepts us. Rune watched her work. You refuse without injury. That's the trick, Olivia said. No is a bridge if you build it in the open. She wrote a plan. Not a manifesto. Central hated those, but a procedure with numbered steps and timestamps and measurable kindness. Pilot, dual root concordance, DRC, at branch B12. Goals, interoperability without erasure. Discoverability without collapse. Community agency retained. She stapled her seed list and video, added Rune's Waylines as a field, and flagged the ModFlex as hardware equivalency for legacy compliance. Then, she did the thing Central found hardest to resist. She added names. Volunteers, the elder by the viewport, the teacher with the calm voice, the child with the cat map, as witness junior, the repair tech, as safety. Rune added its own, 2 visiting scholars, one of whom specialized in polite failure. The bot hiccuped. Review required. Good, Olivia said. Review means you didn't say no. Patrons queued at the desk. A contractor asked if the library took tool manuals as donations. If they have grease on them, Olivia said, we have a shelf that will love them. A student wanted advice on a poem. Use fewer adverbs, Olivia said, and one smell the reader won't expect. The integrator chimed. Parallel ingest stall. Conflicting parent definitions. Rune's rap tightened. This is a root fight again. Family table time, Olivia said. We stop asking. Start teaching. She tabbed into the raw concordance and added a rule. Parent. Allow multiple local definitions with Waylines linking them. Do not choose a winner. The harmonizer shook, threw a warning, then settled like a dog deciding to lie down. Partial success. It said. Rune placed a new crystal. This set, it said, contains a quarrel about the word for home. It might not behave. Nothing behaves, Olivia said, until it's seen behaving. The unified schema pack blinked on the bench like a temptation in a store window. Central pinged her wrist with a gentle nudge. Budget uplift glowed like dessert. She hadn't earned. Olivia pulled the power to the schema case by pinching its cord legal. Safe, petty, and slid it under the desk. We will write our own help, she said, and we will publish it. Publish? Rune asked. Branch notes, Olivia said. Best practices with grease. The branch had a corkboard no one used because the hollow board had stolen its charisma. Olivia taped a sheet of paper to it anyway. DRC Pilot Community Notes. Under the title she wrote, 3 bullet points with a pen that left the line fat enough to be seen by. People who forgot their glasses. Parallel truths share. Shelves. Waylines before warnings. If it breaks, we write how we fixed it. The elder by the viewport added, make the chairs easier to move, because every revolution is also furniture. The teacher added a time window for study pods that did not ruin afternoons. The repair tech sketched a coupler with arrows and wrote, don't skip this. It hums less. The child drew a cat wearing a map like a cape and captioned it, witness. Rune stood before the board and tilted its case so that a beam of light warmed the ink just enough to look blessed. Library liturgy. It sighed. Branch policy, Olivia said, but we'll take liturgy if it makes people kinder. She wired a feed from the bench to the corkboard and mirrored the harmonizer's anonymized changes there. Every time the concordance learned a new kindness, the board printed a line. Family. Allow cousins. Teacher. Allow non-licensed mentor. Silence. Accept truce. The board started to look like a community that was building. A map to itself with a dull pencil. Central pinged her with a meeting. We note your deviation, said a supervisor in a voice that could cut glass into precise hexagons. Unified schema uplift expires at 13. We're in a pilot, Olivia said. DRC. We'll publish our metrics by 17. You are out of policy. We are under it, Olivia said, smiling. The spirit line. Rune made the pleased sound again, which Olivia was starting to plan her day around. The integrator burped a complaint. Legacy ingest. Pause. Found 2 words that hate each other. Record, remember. Rune moved closer. In our quiet period, record was a punishment. Remember was mercy. In ours, Olivia said, record is a habit and remember is a fight. She added a concordance note. Conflict present both meanings. Attach Waylines for context. Do not force synonymy. The harmonizer stopped sulking and tried work. Rune placed the next crystal. The bar advanced, uncertain and brave. At 11:39, the unified schema pack decided to be helpful by broadcasting a friendly reminder across the branch PA. Hello, I can harmonize your chaos. Press apply for a better world. Half the branch looked up. The elder said, no, thank you, with the force of a vote. The child shouted, we're a pilot. As if that were a spell, Olivia unplugged the pack entirely, then dug its menu and found the setting labeled Promotional Outreach and turned it to OFF with the gentleness of someone tucking a toddler for a nap that would last forever. She posted a new line on the corkboard. When a tool calls you chaotic, introduce it to your calendar. Rune laughed a tone that made the resin counter want to be wood. You are kind to tools that insult you. We teach them manners, Olivia said. Same as people. The compliance bot returned with a different voice. Legal had joined the reign. Your pilot raises risk. Measured risk, Olivia said. Documented. Reversible. Witnessed. Witnessed by whom? Olivia pointed at the board. Names. Arrows. Cats and capes. By the people who use it. Conditional continuation. The bot said sourly. Reports hourly. We'll send them, Olivia said. She propped her terminal in the crook of a bookend and recorded a quick walk through. Seed list, dual root, family tables, Waylines, Modflex coupler, Rune's case, the elder's chair. She sent it to Central with the subject, "You can do this at home." Rune closed the latest crystal slot. "We have 5 left," it said. "The last 3 will fight." "Good," Olivia said. "We're getting good at fights that end in seating charts." By noon, the branch smelled like warm paper, solder flux, and a bakery someone had smuggled into a bag. Rune had moved from wariness to participation, offering Waylines that read like recipes for non-humans and like good advice for everyone else. If this concept refuses your hand, approach from care. If it continues to refuse, leave a note and make tea. "Tea?" Olivia said. "Tea," Rune said. "It is a pause you can drink." They ate at the counter crumbled. Wraps and station fruit cut into hexagons. It satisfied a local superstition. Rune did not eat, but stood in the rectangle of sun, the viewport granted like an earned indulgence. "Your job is a ceremony," it said. "It's a schedule," Olivia said, and sipped something that called itself coffee and had nearly earned the name. "Ceremonies are just schedules we love." A teenager approached with a question that tried to be a joke and failed charmingly. "If 2 truths disagree," they said, "which one gets to be right?" "Both," Olivia said. "We stack them and add directions." "That's not science," the teenager said. "Testing. It's librarianship," Olivia said. "Adjacent." Rune offered the teenager a Wayline entry. "When you meet this concept, bring a story from your home. If it stays sharp, back away. If it softens, offer a second story. Stop at 3. The teenager copied it like a spell and retreated a meter wiser. Olivia checked the harmonizer's change. Log. The family tables had begun to grow without explicit orders, a sign that the machine was, if not learning, at least respecting what was taught. The Modflex reported stable noise on the bus. The XR7 backplane ran embarrassingly cool. "You still disapprove of their omissions," Rune said, watching her face. "I disapprove of selling elegance as a substitute for service," Olivia said. "Elegance is fine. It's not a shelter." Rune tilted the case and wrote a Wayline titled Shelter. "A place that lets both truths sit until they are less likely to injure." Olivia printed it and taped it above the return slot dot at 12:25. A small crisis with a big voice arrived. A parent who had been told by a school counselor to trust the unified schema because it gets grades in order. They carried stress like luggage and hope like a receipt. "I heard you're refusing Central," they said. "That hurts our kids." "We're refusing collapse," Olivia said gently. "We're building a map that doesn't throw your kid away if they have the wrong words for home." Parents' shoulders shifted. Rune made the tone that encouraged truth. The parent exhaled a biography in 4 sentences and a half apology, then added a drawing to the corkboard, a box with 2 doors and a rug. "Shelter," they wrote, and underlined it twice. "Thank you," Olivia said. "Please tell the counselor we're running a pilot that works for kids who don't like losing their names." Rune's case glowed a fraction warmer. The integrator chimed with genuine pleasure. Parallel ingest. Wayline accepted. User note attached. Olivia grinned at a machine as if it were a patron. "You can learn." Rune's tone softened something like pride. "It can, because you did not require it to forget." At 13 o'clock, Central arrived in the flesh, or the next best thing, a supervisor on a stick. Screen balanced on a genially humiliating wheeled pole. The supervisor wore the expression of a person who had met process and fallen in love. "Branch B12, she said. "I'm here to help." "You're here to measure," Olivia said, cheerful. "We printed you a corkboard." The pole pivoted to regard the DRC board, which was now a collage of sense and bravery. "You're out of family tables by spec. We're building them with people," Olivia said. Spec forgot people. Rune stood beside the board and angled light so that the printed lines were easier to read. "We provide Waylines for foreign readers. You may use them." His supervisor's mouth did a small thing it probably regretted. "You're letting non-humans write your catalog. We're letting readers write directions, Olivia said. Catalog remains ours. Access belongs to those who need it. That's the point. The pole tried to look disapproving and managed to look like a coke rack learning boundaries. Unified schema offers a bonus, Olivia said. We'll take it when it takes us. Branches do not negotiate with policy, the supervisor said. Branches are policy, Olivia said, and tapped the paper. We're writing it longhand until the system can type it. A small silence happened. Rune let it be a truce. Fine, the supervisor said. Pilot continues. Your metrics at 17. Hourly reports are already on your desk, Olivia said, because there was joy in beating a deadline with a corkboard. The pole rolled away with the offended dignity of furniture deny a promotion. Rune turned to the bench. 2 crystals remain. The last contains a paradox. If your harmonizer refuses, I will understand. It can refuse, Olivia said. We won't. They fed the penultimate crystal. The harmonizer, now taught manners, accepted it with the caution of a cat making friends with a large patient dog. The last crystal waited like a choice. Rune lifted it with both hands. Quiet period terminal concord, it said. 2 factions recorded 2 incompatible ends to the same quarrel and agreed to store them as if both had occurred. Olivia smiled at the audacity. Parallel finals. Yes, Rune said. We have argued about that for a century. We call it co-true. Our enemies call it weak. We call it Tuesday, Olivia said, and set the crystal on the reader. The harmonizer hesitated. The integrator hummed. The progress bar crawled. The UI offered to collapse again. Olivia reached for the raw table and added a note she had wanted to write since she started at B12. When 2 endings save different people, keep both. The bar moved. To save, Rune said, is not an objective term. It's a library term, Olivia said. We save access. The reader flashed a polite amber, then green. Ingest complete. Parallel finals retained. Waylines required. Rune exhaled light that looked very much like relief. You rescued a quarrel. We gave it chairs, Olivia said. It will behave better. Behind them, the corkboard printed another line. Final. Shelf both ends. Wayline. Who benefits? Olivia taped it harder than necessary and left a fingerprint on the paper. Good, she said to the board, to the machine, to the quiet that felt earned dot at 1402. The branch's lights shifted barely a heartbeat of dim that most eyes forgave and most machines resented. The harmonizer stalled mid-log. The integrator painted a new banner with the confidence of a bureaucrat finding a clause. External override request. Apply unified schema now. Safety mode. Olivia's jaw set. There it is. Rune's tone dropped the note. Authority approaches as rescue. Policy with sirens, Olivia said. She tapped details. Centrals. Safety office had flagged a discoverability, discrepancy between 2 emergency advisories stored in legacy. Sets 1 used the word shelter, the other, assembly. In a pinch, wrong words could cost lives. That's a real problem, Olivia said, all argument gone. In an alarm, shelter and assembly are opposite verbs. Rune leaned in, light careful, voice more careful. In our quiet period, we solved that with geometry. Shelter glowed inward, assembly outward. We don't glow, Olivia said. We have loudspeakers and people who panic. The supervisor on a stick rolled back with an ambulance face. This is the moment for unified schema. 1 word, 1 route. We prevent confusion, and we erase half the history, Olivia said. Not to win, just to say the price aloud. Lives, the supervisor said. We save them. Rune inclined its wrap. Permit us to propose a human solution that does not erase. We will borrow from geometry. Borrowed light, Olivia said, thinking at speed. We can't rewire the station, but we can color the speakers. She turned to the branch board and wrote, with a pen that made the paper accept the urgency. DRC emergency. Wayline colors. Below it, she drew 2 boxes. Shelter in place. Blue tone. Inward pointing icon on signs. Word shelter in local language. And wayline. Stay, seal, share error. Evacuate, assemble. Orange tone. Outward pointing icon. Word assembly. Wayline. Go. Count. Carry neighbor. The repair tech, who had not meant to become staff, and had anyway nodded. I can re-tint the local PA alerts. Branch only, but it's a start. The teacher added, "Print cards for kids." The elder added, "Print big." The supervisor's screen did something like thinking. "You can't change emergency systems without authorization." "We're not changing the system," Olivia said. "We're adding a concordance to the words humans actually use." Rune turned to the integrator. "Can your harmonizer attach emergency waylines to legacy advisories in under 3 minutes?" The harmonizer, now a little proud, replied, "If you stop asking politely and start typing." Olivia did both. She opened the advisories, attached colored waylines, and pushed them to the branch feed. She pinged neighboring branches with a template and a subject line. Central could love. Temporary community safe concordance. No schema collapse. The repair tech ran a test on the PA. The speakers didn't glow, but the tones obeyed, and the icons crudely printed and taped by hands that shook with speed meant something. In a room where words had fought the compliance, bot barged in late and loud. "Unauthorized modification. Documented mitigation?" Olivia answered, attaching the plan, the colors, the waylines, and a photo of a child holding a blue card like a shield. "Conditional acceptance," the bot wrote, because it knew how the branch was going to act either way. The supervisor on a stick tried one last push. "Schema is simple. Simplicity is not safety," Olivia said, quiet. "Safety is neighbors agreeing which way to run." Rune's tone, that patient chime, filled the gap. "We will supply geometric waylines for other opposites that harm in crisis." "Please," Olivia said, "start with lockdown versus secure." The integrator resumed hum. The harmonizer finished the backlog and posted a new corkboard line. "Emergency words, color plus verb plus neighbor." "What's the revelation?" the teacher asked, half to the air. "That our fix wasn't literary," Olivia said. "It was practical," Rune added gently, "and human." At 15:10, the station declared a drill. No one had asked the branch if it was ready. It was. A triple tone rolled through the concourse. Orange. The branch PA echoed it, volunteering where the station could only announce. "Assembly," Olivia read off the card, loud enough to cut through wonder. "Go, count, carry neighbor." Patrons moved not by panic, but by rule. The elder rose. With difficulty, and 2 teenagers discovered that a cane is a baton you can share. The child in grip socks pocketed the blue card like a talisman and took the orange one like homework. The service dog made a decision about who needed help most and was, as usual, correct. Rune watched the flow with the stillness of a scribe at a coronation. "Your people enact concordance. They enact community," Olivia said. Counting with a finger she kept tapping so she'd remember to breathe. "Concordance is the instructions." The supervisor's poll recorded. Legal watched. The compliance bot typed. Central discovered that branches can pass drills without asking permission to be local. The drill ended with boring speed. The concourse tone fell silent. The branch PA gentled to nothing. People returned with the sheepish grace of those who have learned they can do a thing that matters and would like a cookie. "Report," the bot demanded, quicker than decency. Olivia sent numbers. "Time to assemble." Missed count 0, cards distributed, waylines printed, icon legibility, tones heard by 98% of patrons even with earbuds in. She added a photo of the corkboard with 3 new lines. "Carry neighbor, accepted by service dog." Wayline, count aloud. Names if you know them. Do not argue with the color. Argue later. Central, confronted with a branch that had prepared without asking to be praised, did the only sensible thing. It proposed a meeting. 1700, the supervisor said. "Present your DRC. We will consider uplift." "After story hour," Olivia said, and the supervisor, who had not scheduled story hour since childhood, blinked, adjusted, and yielded. Rune turned to the last bit of the work that was not crisis. The waylines for the true ending. "We owe patrons a direction," it said. 2 ends. 2 ways to read without harm. They wrote them on 1 page. Big. "If you need the ending where the choral ends in silence, read this shelf." Wayline. "Stop here. Make tea. Write down what you will not do next." "If you need the ending where the choral ends in speech, read this shelf." Wayline. "Go here. Choose 1 sentence you will repeat. Stop when it stops helping." Olivia taped the page like a promise and left another fingerprint. "Your fingerprints," Rune said, "are concordances." "No," Olivia said, tired and happy. Their librarianship at 16 o'clock, story hour. A parent read badly and perfectly, tripping on a word that didn't want to be held and laughing in a way that made the room decide the laugh was the right pronunciation. Rune observed, still learning the ritual of children who insist on sitting where you wanted to stand. The supervisor arrived early for the meeting and had to wait on a beanbag. Legal glowered from the pole. The compliance bot hovered like a conscience chewing gum. Olivia did not present slides. She pointed at paper. Dual root concordance, she said, seeded with household words. Family tables grown by use. Waylines authored by affected readers. Legacy bridged by modflex. Noise tamed by coupler. Harmonizer prevented from flattening. Emergency opposites colored and verbed for humans. Drill passed. No one erased. The supervisor tapped a line on the corkboard. You did not call for permission. We called for witnesses, Olivia said, pointing at names. They came. They stayed. They helped. Legal raised an eyebrow shaped like a lawsuit. Unified schema would have simplified. It would have collapsed co-true, Rune said, very gently. And then my polity would have left. The room felt the weight of that quiet. The station wants visitors. And not just for the cafes. The compliance bot tried a new tactic. If we uplift this pilot, will you document it so other branches can copy the steps without your improvisations? Olivia thought of the cabinet, the modflex, the coupler, the Huang note, and the fat pen. We will document it so they can improvise with less fear. The supervisor looked at Rune. And your Waylines, will you license them freely? Rune lifted its case. We will gift them. We will accept attribution. We will accept criticism later. Later, Olivia echoed, almost smiling. When no one is panicking, Central conferred in low voices. Branches stacked patrons in tidy lines so that decisions could happen above them. The pole cleared its throat. Conditional uplift, the supervisor said. Pilot extended to 3 branches with similar demographics. Budget for modflex equivalents if safety signs off. Harmonizer patch pushed to honor do not flatten when family tables exist. Waylines archived with attribution in a shared shelf. Emergency concordance accepted as interim guidance. Olivia exhaled. Rune made the tone that meant yes. Conditions, legal said, rolling its gavel in language. No more unapproved broadcasts from third-party packs. We unplugged it, Olivia said, bright and vicious. We will continue to do so. And the modflex, legal said. Already regretting asking. We'll call it something you can invoice, Olivia said. Legacy compatibility adapter. Approved, the compliance bot said. Narrowly winning the race to be reasonable. The elder clapped once, which in the branch meant we may go on. The meeting ratified what the corkboard had already made real. Agreements were typed, then printed, then signed with pens that squeaked to prove that typing had not been the whole job. Rune added a wayline to the meeting minutes titled, How to Sign Without Pretending This Will Never Change. The pilot's checklist grew a spine. Olivia wrote the steps like recipes. Seed household words. Stop at 20. Add more when a patron makes you. Build family tables only when a collision bleeds. Do not preempt fights no one is having. Waylines belong to those affected. If they won't write them, you bring tea and try again. Do not flatten. Annotate. Stack. Teach. The shelf to hold. Emergency words get colors and verbs. Neighbors carry neighbors. Tools that shout get naps. Publish as you go. You cannot retroactively be transparent. Central added 3 lines in a different handwriting. Report hourly in crisis. Ask forgiveness out loud, not in footnotes. Share failures before victories. Rune wrote one more. In light-touched ink. Leave room for endings that are not yours. The harmonizer posted its own corkboard line, the first without a human hand. I learned, parallel is a kind of kindness. Olivia patted the chassis with fond disrespect. You're a good clerk. The supervisor coughed into the pole to pretend feelings were not present. We'll push an update tonight, after story hour, Olivia said. A little on purpose. Rune had an errand and returned with a small packet that felt heavier than it was. For your board, it said. Inside, a thin strip of transparent ceramic with etched lines that only appeared when held at a certain angle. This is a wayline we use when we fear we have done harm by being tidy. Olivia held it to the viewport light. The lines resolved into a sentence that did not apologize, but did not excuse. We made this simple because we were tired. We will make it whole when we can breathe. She taped it at eye level. Morning on Asteron arrived by decision and dimmer. Branch B12 smelled like paper sleeves, warm plastic, and a citrus that had learned not to brag. The harmonizer booted with less drama and more memory. The integrator's blue strip glowed like a coworker who had slept. The corkboard greeted patrons before Olivia could. DRC. Pilot had lost the word pilot to a child with a marker who crossed it out and wrote practice. The child was correct. Courier dropped a bag of tool manuals with grease in the margins, which meant the shelf loved them. The teacher checked out a thin book on apologies and a thick one on bridges. The elder claimed a chair by the viewport and declared it too heavy or too light, depending on whether someone strong was nearby. The service dog held court. Rune arrived without its case for the first time and looked slightly undressed and relieved. I have come without weapons, it said, meaning tools, meaning authority. Welcome to the branch, Olivia said, as if the previous day had not already done that. You have Waylines to write, Rune said, about the day you refused simplicity. We'll call it How to Get Budget Without Being Erased. Olivia said, poetry. Rune said gravely. Central sent a notice that did not glower. DRC update available. Patch. Do _ not _ flatten honored when family tables exist. Wayline field added to all public objects. Emergency term pairing supports color cues. It was bureaucratese for we saw you do a human thing and made the machine do it too. The compliance bot visited with flowers in the form of an email that did not threaten. The supervisor waved from the pole, which had learned to wait off to the side until the desk was not busy. Legal wrote a memo about branch agency in interoperable systems and used the word neighbor without sneer. Olivia wrote a sign for the desk. If a tool calls you chaotic, introduce it to your calendar. Show it your neighbor. Tape a wayline to its face. A teenager laughed and then asked if they could volunteer. Yes, Olivia said, because competent teenagers are the planet's hoarded gold. Rune stood by the wayline about tidy harm and touched it once as if blessing or apologizing or agreeing. We will take your practice to my archive, it said. We will say that humans stack truth and then sit with it until it stops drawing blood. Say we do it with tea, Olivia said. They'll think better of us. I already do, Rune said. 2 weeks later, the branch had grown the way gardens grow when watered with lists. The DRC practice spread to 2 branches that did not share its demographics and did share its stubbornness. The harmonizer learned to ask before helping. The mod flex equivalents got the kind of name purchasing can love and tinkers can stand. The emergency waylines appeared on the station intranet like new habits, pretending to have always been. There, Olivia's cabinet gained a new shelf labeled Tools That Shout. Inside lived the unified schema pack. Unplugged, content to nap, and occasionally useful when asked only to draw a diagram and not write a decree. Rune visited often enough that the children drew it as a friend shape with sunbeams and captions like light person who brings directions. It pretended offense at the beams and then glowed. Anyway, the branch hosted a small, quiet ceremony that it refused to call a ceremony. They laminated the DRC checklist, framed the waylines that patrons had written with the hands they used for everything else, and added a new policy at the bottom of the corkboard in olive bold. If we get tired and make it simple, we will make it whole when we can breathe. Central accepted it as a local addendum. A visiting auditor arrived with the weary suspicion of a profession that has broken up more parties than it attended. They left with a library card and a wayline in their pocket. A child brought back the cat map book with the edges unpeeled and a drawing of a cat wearing 2 capes, each a different ending. True, the child said, as if that were a snack. Correct, Olivia said, stamping the return with a date that meant you did well. Rune delivered a final gift in the idiom the branch had adopted as native, a cheap pen that wrote a surprisingly honest line and never once skipped under tape. For your next refusal, it said. Olivia held the pen, then the room. We don't win, she said, soft and true. We maintain. Rune made the tone that meant agreement and weather. Maintenance is victory at station scale. Outside the viewport, Asteron shouldered its sunlight with ordinary courage. Inside the branch, people who had fought complicated fights with words and chairs found chairs and better words. The harmonizer posted one last corkboard line for the day before deciding it had earned boredom. Practice, the shelf that holds tomorrow. Olivia flipped the open sign to open because it had never been shut and meant it